Hello everybody, welcome to the JavaScript course. In this video, I'm going to discuss a concept called reexport. It means that we import something and then we export it out. The video wants to discuss two situations. We may need to re-export named variables or functions, or we may want to export default variables or functions. So I'm going to discuss all these two situations. Now, let us see the HTML file first. The HTML file is rather simple. I have a title and a heading. And I'm going to link this HTML file to a JavaScript file called myscript.js, which is stored in the JS folder. And after that, I'm going to discuss the topic called reexport. The meaning of reexport is that the current module imports a variable called x from another module first, and then the current module wants to export this variable called x to other outside modules. So the idea is just doing importing followed by exporting. And this video is going to discuss two situations: re-exporting a named variable and re-exporting an unnamed variable. So let's start with the first situation, which is re-exporting a named variable. So my idea is to re-export a named variable in import1.js file to another JavaScript file called myexport.js, and then after the re-export, I want to import it to myscript.js. So the first file to involve is the myexport.js, and then the final file to handle is the myscript.js. So let us go to the first part first. So in my import1.js file, I have already set up a variable that is going to export, which is called weather equals sunny. Sunny is a string. So I want to export this variable called weather to the outside. And then what I'm going to do is that I want to export this variable to the intermediate JavaScript file called export.js. So I'm going to re-export a variable here. Okay, the simple task is that I want to export a variable called weather, which is already inside the import1.js file, to my export.js. Okay, so that is the basic idea of re-exporting. We get the variable and then we export it out. So this statement is actually equivalent to the following two lines, that is doing importing followed by exporting. So actually you can use either one of the approaches. You can use just one line, or you can use two lines to do the re-export. So let me do the first line, which involves only one line only. Okay, after the statement shown here, I'm really going to export this variable to a JavaScript file called myscript.js. So what I'm going to do is capture that exported variable. Okay, the idea is just using the import command to get the variable called weather from my export.js, which is already exporting a variable to the outside modules. And then I'm going to use this imported variable to do the alert window. So let us see the result by saving all of the things here. Before doing so, I have to turn on the live server. So let me click on go live, and then I can see that today is Sunday is shown up. That's the meaning of the re-exporting. I want to export a variable from import1.js to my export.js, and then my export.js file is going to export it to another JavaScript file, and then from this final JavaScript file, I'm able to use that variable directly. Okay, that is the basic idea. So the re-exporting action is equivalent to the following two lines. So in case we can simplify our code, we can just use this line instead of using the two lines shown here. Okay. Okay, the second example is that I want to re-export an unnamed default function to the outside world. So the unnamed default function is already import2.js file, and then I would export this unnamed function to my exports.js, and then after the re-export, I'm going to import it to my script.js. So let me see the import2.js file first, which is this one. Okay, I've already got a default function. So we have to notice that no name is required for a default function. So I don't give a function name of it. And the function is rather simple. I want to say hello to a certain person, which is passed to the function. I'm going to export this function to the outside world. And my exports.js is going to import this one. So let us see the implementation of the re-export in the my exports.js. Okay, I just need to say that I want to export a default thing from a certain JavaScript file called import2.js. The word default is used because there's only one module in import2.js, and there is no other function or variable that the import2.js file can choose to export. That's why I can just say default here in the export part. Okay. So after the re-export, I'm going to use this default function in another JavaScript file called myscript.js. And now I'm trying to see how we can implement the import in myscript.js file. Okay. Okay, you can see that I used this sentence to import a default function. So I can give this a name called greet. So the default function is called greet in myscript.js. So this default function is obtained from my exports.js, and then I can use the new name called greet to denote that function that is re-exported, and then I can pass a string called Alice to the function which was a default function. So I would expect to have hello Alice in the answer. So let us see the result by saving all of the materials. Before doing so, I have to shrink my window so that I can get the browser to come out. Okay, you can see that I can get hello Alice because this is the result coming from the re-exported default function. Okay, so you can see that this sentence is going to re-export the function, and then this sentence is going to import that function, which is a default one. So I have to give it a name, and then I can use this name to operate that function directly. So we have already shown the two ways of doing the re-exporting of functions or variables. The first one is to use the sentence like this one. I just need to denote the variable to be passed, and I want to say the origin of that variable, which is from this import1.js file. And then if I want to re-export a default function, I just use the default keyword, and I have to specify the origin of that default function, which is from import2.js, and then I can just use the re-exported variable or function as usual by saying the import weather from my exports.js, and also I can say import default as greet from my exports.js, so that I can get back the re-exported variable or even default functions. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions about my video, please leave your questions on the comment section below the video. If you like this video, please give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.